The Drug Law Enforcement Agency last week pulled off one of its biggest seizures of cocaine in years, seizing over 2 tons of drugs worth over billions of dollars. Keba Ansu is a freelance journalist, and he said this is not the first time this is happening in the Gambia.
That is another, very interesting area because we will say this is the highest, but we should not forget that there was a seesaw at Bonto a few years back. In Bonto, that is Combo East, where over 2 billion worth of drug was nabbed in the country. So this is the second time. So if we cannot entirely say it was not happening, it was happening, but the way the former government operates and the way things are going on are two different things. Before, we were entirely living in a dictatorship where all the orders, all the commands are coming from one man. You can, of course, there could be cases when we see, people, claiming that they were assigned by the ex-president himself to sell drugs on his behalf. That tells us that it could have been going on, but it was not at the knowledge of the Gambian people up to the time when a catchment was done confiscated at Bonto. So definitely, if those things are happening, I mean, the officers were concealing it just because the former president don't want such issues, to be on the spotlight. That, could be very, very disappointing on their side. But as we are moving from dictatorship and now we are in the transition, we are seeing it again replicating itself, in fact, to a higher denominums. That is very, very scary. And also, if you go out, like you mentioned, we have young people going into drugs. We will not talk about cannabis now, because we have seen children as young, as 12, 10, taking, cannabis. And, if we are to go into encourage the use, because by bringing these drugs is to encourage the use to go into it. Few weeks back, Moroccan hashish was also confiscated. I think over 900 blocks of hashish was snapped at the airport, at the seaport. The following week, we have this big consignment, of cocaine entering into the Gambia. It's very, very scary. We look at the youths going in for it. Not only boys, but also girls. And this can be attested. If you have a walk at the beachside, if you have a walk at the brutals, if you have a walk at the bars, you have a walk at the restaurant, you will see this by yourself. Nobody need to tell you that women are engaged. Not only smoking it, but also engaging into the sale of it, because most of the criminals now, they are using women's. Now we are seeing women's appearing in court, defending drug cases. So this is very, 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 very scary. And I think the government should not let such crimes to go free like that. They should do every effort to bring people to book. It's very, very unfortunate. We understand the main the kingpin of this drug consignment that enter in the country is at large. How did he go out? When the catchment was, when they seized the catchment at the airport, was the man inside the country? How did he go out? What have they done so far? Because we were informed that there is a serious manhunt going on. And it's almost coming to another week. Where has he been arrested? He has not been arrested. Has he been prosecuted? He has not been. Catching the agent, Sirif Njai, locking him at one place. I mean, we cannot say he is guilty, because we know the works of the agent. We know that. So unless the person who is the main man, Amara Keta, is nabbed, then we can know, what is the intended purpose? Is he going to sell it in the Gambia? Is he going to take it outside? Because selling it in the Gambia, it means destroying the youths. And then government should not take this issue very lightly.
APRC Deputy Spokesperson Duduja said this is not a surprise to him at all.
Not much surprise, because security is a bit loose in this country. And 2 previous cases occurred, and up till now we don't know how it ended. It was not concluded. So you will expect more, unless they take a firm stand in fighting against drugs. And in such cases, whatever is confiscated, you don't allow it to be like ghostly kept, but come in line with the public. If it is to be confiscated, burn it in the presence of everybody. That will create ease in the nerves of the people that whatever is feared that could get loose in society has been well taken care of. But it will end up in stores, warehouses, all of a sudden it will disappear again, goes into the market, and it's circulating, people making money out of it. And any nation that's very rampant with drugs definitely doesn't have a bright future, because we know what drugs can do within communities and societies.
Keba pointed out that the Gambia is too small for such a huge drug quantity when there is no major rehabilitation center in the Gambia.
We know drug is a problem worldwide, but it's even more scary, when we start receiving, huge consignment of drugs, in this tiny country, where the bulk of the population is youths, and then drugs are things that are mainly used by the youths. So the fear factor is very, very high, when it comes on the news that over 4.5 billion worth of cocaine was intercepted, at the ports. This is very scary. And then I think the authorities should do everything possible, humanly possible, to bring the perpetrators of this crime to book, so that can serve as a yardstick to deter others from engaging in such. We know right now the dangers of drug is very high. There is only one psychiatric hospital in the Gambia, that is the Tanka Tanka. And right now Tanka Tanka is full to capacity. And in fact, the sad part of it is not full to capacity for people who are having psychological problems. But 90% of the people who are admitted there are relative to drug. This is very scary. There is no rehabilitation hospital in the Gambia.
Dudu called on the government to come out and clear all speculation surrounding this issue.
It's for the government to take responsibility, clear the doubts of the people. Certain allegations, you don't let it lie down. It will give people more room to speculate, more room to create propaganda. They have to get to the bottom of the matter, even if they're investigating to know what actually transpired. But at least a statement from the head of state would assure people their stance, to clarify what they know about it for now, to calm nerves of people and to promise them that they'll get to the matter. That will help a great deal, rather than allowing people to think freely and say whatever they want. In most cases, people would classify it as false information or fake news. For me, there's nothing false, there's nothing fake. When some people hear about it, they will believe it. For them, it's information and they're going to believe it. Those who know about facts will tell you it's fake. How about those who don't know what is factual? They'll definitely believe it. So information is key, especially accurate information to be given to the public. You don't have to waste time with that.
Keba is questioning the use of Gambia as a transit for drug trafficking, but he is, however, commending the Drug Law Enforcement Agency Gambia for their effort.
So the best thing that the country can do is to ensure that drugs are intercepted at all the ports, not only at the airport, at the seaport, but equally at the airport and the porous borders. These are very big concern, and I think it should be the concern of the government, because everybody in the country is just found, caught red-handed without, iota of knowledge as to why in the first place these drugs has to come to this country, and why the country has to be used as a transit point, for drug trafficking. This is very scary, and I want to appeal to the government, but so the law enforcement agencies, because they are really, by napping these drugs, shows us that they are really doing great, and we want to comment on to continue doing such job. They are not doing for any individual Gambian, but they are doing it for the good of this country and the future of this country.
On Wednesday, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency Gambia said it had, prior to the cocaine seizure, confiscated over 500 blocks of hashish. These major drug catches have now sparked concern over the future of the country. Fatou Kamara reporting for the FAD Network News Review.